There aren't a lot of things that the competing candidates agree on in this federal election, but this might just be one of them, and that is that there are problems with Bill C-18, the Online News Act. It was brought in 2023 by the Liberal government with the design to make online companies, such as Facebook, pay for the journalistic content that they put on their sites. So that was put into place, but it backfired. Instead of agreeing to pay media outlets for the material, companies like Facebook and Instagram simply blacked out. No more news media from Canada was allowed on their sites. And the results for news media outlets has been devastating. Nearly 100 media outlets have closed down, layoffs all over the place. And the result for Canadians is they have fewer credible sources to get their information online, so instead relying on less credible sources. So we asked the candidates in the Kelowna area ridings how they feel about Bill C-18.
So the Online News Act C-18 was brought in by Stephen Guilbeault, and it was passed under this Liberal government with the support of the NDP and the Bloc. Essentially and this was heard at committee after witness, where people would say new innovations, new startups like Kelowna Now would come forward and say, this will not work for us. And essentially, the Liberals said, no, we know what's better for your industry than you do. And essentially, everything we've seen to come to pass. So we had the big fires in last year's, and guess what? You had zero ability of Kelowna Now staff, even though you're going to the press conferences, and you weren't able to get your message out to the majority of people unless they happen to fall into your website. So essentially, you have it where legacy media are getting subsidized while other new startup journalists that want to do it a little bit different are being shunted out to the cold. This is preserving those legacy at the expense of the new and innovative. That's never a recipe for success. It's always ends up being where the individual taxpayer, in this case Kelowna Now, and your customers don't get the support that they need.
Well, I think that making it more difficult for authoritative sources to get their message and their news out on social media, it plays into the spread of misinformation and disinformation. It makes it more hard for people to actually find news because, for better or for worse, many people look to social media as their primary news source. And if outlets like Kelowna Now are unable to reach their audience, people are going to be finding their news from low quality sources, things that are spreading either knowingly or unknowingly lies, misrepresentations of the truth, and we are worse off for it.
We knew, for example, the Parliamentary Budget Officer, which is the non-partisan budget officer for the government, did an analysis of Bill C-18. And the Parliamentary Budget Officer said that the greatest beneficiaries of C-18 would be the three largest media organizations. It would be CBC, Rogers, and Bell. And that they would be receiving 75% of the income that would be coming through the regime that was created from C-18. And that's what has happened. There was experts speaking out at the time against this. For example, Michael Geist, who is very well respected from the University of Ottawa in the Faculty of Law, wrote many articles on this. He testified on this, saying that the biggest losers in all of this, again, would be the small independent local media organizations.
The federal government is providing some financial support to media outlets affected by all of this, but not all media outlets are getting that. Kelowna Now isn't getting it. What we did get, however, was a letter of support, even from former Liberal MP Stephen Fuhr. But just what that translates into after the April 28th election remains to be seen.
We don't just report the news, we live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now, local, independent. News you can trust.